Hello and welcome everyone, this is Kalebovich coming to you with another episode of Deck Check. And today I have a laugh for you, maybe more than a single laugh. Let's get down to business, okay? So the deck I want to present to you I dubbed a Hoot and a Half. And you can check in a dictionary what that phrase means. And this is a Huru control deck, but does not have to be a control deck, can also be a mid-range deck. A Hoot and a Half, because we are winning off of some Unseen Owls, or the leader of the Unseen Owls, Nostrix, Lord of Visions himself. The deck's name and how it plays revolves around two cards. Actually more than two cards, because it's at least three cards, because one of them has an echo. But yeah, Nostrix, Lord of Visions. It's a 6-cost triple Huru, 5/7 flying Unseen Owl that on Mentor gives the student and each copy in your hand and deck +5/+5. And oh boy, +5/+5 is just a huge buff. Mentor means when a card with Mentor is played, you may exhaust one of your units in play as a student to get an extra effect. Which means if you already have a unit in play, when you play Nostrix, you can exhaust that unit, give it +5/+5 permanently, and give +5/+5 to each copy in your hand and your deck. That buff as well. So usually this means that you can either turn big units into even bigger units, or you can turn small units that cost a very low amount of power, this buff, and make them into quite hefty minions themselves. So the minion we are usually targeting, the unit we are usually targeting, is Cliffside Porter. It's a 1-cost primal 0/1 explorer with Echo. Echo means that each time you draw a card with Echo, you get an additional copy of that card. And if for some reason or another this Cliffside Porter is a 5/6, that means that you're drawing two 5/6 units for one each. And this is the main win condition usually of the deck, just playing big Cliffside Porters. How can you get those Cliffside Porters and Nostrixes? I mean, Nostrix is just one card, Cliffside Porter is another. So here's where the rest of the deck comes in quite handy. So there is a card from Omens of the Past that is called Crownwatch Press Gang, and I think most of you should know this card by now. It is a 4-cost Justice Minotaur Soldier, a 3/3 with Revenge that on summon gets you to draw a 1-cost unit of your choice from your deck, which means that you can draw one Cliffside Porter with Echo, which means technically two Cliffside Porters. Also, this means you can have a suite of 1-cost other units that you can fetch whenever you need to. For example, Messenger Hawk, and a 1-cost 0/1 with flying that on summon you get to choose a card in your hand, you create 4 copies of it and put them back into your deck. When you look at Huru 1-cost units, Unit 1, okay. There are some other units that you can use, for example, Embargo Officer, cards can't leave markets or voids and has shift 2. Other cards include, but are not limited to, where is that? Gust Rider, a 1/1 flying for 1 with a primal influence that on Onslaught gets you to draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. And I mean, there are some others, like just even Yeti Bully, or giving you Aegis, or giving you Influence. But currently, Cliffside Porter is usually, like, more than 9 out of 10 times, it is the card I am fetching with Crownwatch Press Gang. Messenger Hawk is here mainly for when you run out of your Cliffside Porters, that you can just play this, target one of your own porters, that is usually a 5/6 by now, in your hand, and you get more of those Cliffside Porters into your deck. Because Crownwatch Press Gang draws you one of those. Then on Revenge, when it comes back with Destiny, draws you another. The second one draws you 2 more, and then you're out of Cliffside Porters. That's why the Messenger Hawk is in here, to keep the chain going. To keep the chain going. You can't go infinite because you have only 1 Messenger Hawk. And that's it. Rounding out the unit side of the deck are 3 Genève Merchants and 3 Winchest Merchants. These proportions are sometimes 4 and 2 in one direction or the other, depending on what my market actually is. And for sure I know that although the main deck is quite alright, I mean you could switch like 2 to 4 cards around, but the market is in total disarray and I would like to keep like 10 cards in there. Right now we got a 4th copy of Nostrix because there are only 3 main deck. And this one you can fetch with both merchants, with either merchant. That means that technically you are playing up to 9 copies of getting your Nostrix. And Crownwatch Press Gang and Winchest Merchant getting you the 4th Crownwatch Press Gang, a very good follow-up unit from the market, which means it's 3 plus 3 plus 4. So all of this technically means that you have 9 ways of getting Nostrix and 10 ways of getting your Cliffside Porters. So there are a lot of ways to get your, maybe not combo, maybe not engine, because it's not a one-turn kill, but it can be a one-turn kill, and I'm going to get to that later. But it can get your card advantage and unit advantage and board advantage going. So I've already talked about Nostrix, I've talked about Crownwatch Press Gang. There is also Pristine Light here, a 3-cost Justice spell. Kill each unit with 4 attack or more, and on Onslaught, which means if you have already attacked on your turn before playing this, you get to draw each unit from your void that died this turn. So this usually kills a mid-range or a control deck's whole board, like all Sandstorm Titans, all Hearts of the Vault, etc, etc. Here, main deck, it only kills Nostrix, but it also can kill Cliffside Porter when it is enhanced by Nostrix. Although, if you attack with your Cliffside Porters, and then you get to play Pristine Light, it says draw each unit from your void that died this turn. And if you draw a Cliffside Porter that died this turn, it gets echoed. So if you jump on in with a 5/6 Cliffside Porter, it dies, you play Pristine Light, you kill the rest of the big units on the opponent's side of the board, and you get to draw double that number of Cliffside Porters. So that is actually another kind of a half combo that is present in this market. We also have Vision of Austerity, a 2-cost Huru spell that says transform an enemy relic into an Omen of Austerity cursed relic that says the cursed player can't play cards with the name of the transformed relic. So it just shuts down Workshop Forges, it shuts down Chains, it shuts down, I mean, most of the things that your opponent might need to play to win, like Stormhold Knives, etc, etc. And I do like running relic removal in the market a lot. I mean, this does not come in handy for each and every matchup, and some people might want to take it out of the market for some other cards I'm going to mention in a moment. But my personal preference is just having relic removal in your market as much as you can, like those Xenon Obelisks, etc, etc. Rounding out the market, something for your blue merchant to fetch is Royal Decree, a 2-cost Justice spell that says transform a non-power card in the enemy hand into a Seek power, and on Onslaught you get to transform each other copy in their hand and deck into Seek power as well. So I would not say it shuts down even decks, but it does hamper their golems a bit. Also, you can try and, I mean, if the opponent is not playing around it, it can shut down some combo decks and some control decks as well. For example, if you get rid of a lot of harsh rules, etc, etc. I mean, you don't need to get rid of your opponent's harsh rules, but I mean, this comes in handy. Oh, another target for Vision of Austerity is, for example, Sphetia's Sanctum. So, relics that make your opponent win the game. So this is why it's here for. What this market is missing is a power, for sure, a draw spell like Honor the Claws, a Koroviat Palace, and I was running Koroviat Palace previously before adding, I think it was Royal Decree here actually. I'm gonna get to Palace in a moment. And obviously you can figure out some more stuff to put in the market, obviously. Okay, let's get back to the units. There's only one unit that I have not mentioned yet. It is the Jotun Hurler, 2 copies of it. It is a 5-cost primal giant, a 3/3/1, that on fate, which means if you draw it, you get to create and draw a snowball, a 1-cost spell that deals 1 damage, that can kill Hojins and a lot of other stuff as well. Yetis, not the Aegis ones, but the Yetis in general. So Jotun Hurlers were not in this list previously. I have included them a couple of days ago because a lot of aggro decks were seen on the ladder in the lower master ranks, and I was just tired of losing to them. Also, this provides you with a sort of card advantage. I mean, you usually use the snowball and either discard Jotun Hurler off of Honor of Claws or just put it in the market with 1 merchant. You can then later get it back with Janeth Merchant, get another snowball, etc, etc. You can also just target a unit to get Aegis off of it, etc, etc. So these Jotun Hurlers were previously one embargo officer. I mean, this or Adjudicator's Gavel is another card you can put in your market if you're running into a lot of void-based decks as well, or if void-based decks run rampant. So was one of those, and was a 4th Honor of Claws as well. I'm gonna get to Honor in a moment. Okay, so these are the units. There is some card draw here as well, with Winchester Merchant and Janeth Merchant, with Crownwatch Press Gang, with Jotun Hurler, kind of with Cliffside Porter. And I mean, early in the game, you can also, if you draw Porter, this is another card you can just shuffle away to your market before you assemble your Nostrix follow-up. Also remember, if you play Nostrix and if you mentor a Cliffside Porter, but you have another Cliffside Porter in your market, the market copy does not get the buff, so it's just an 0/1 once again, unless you obviously mark it out a 5/6 copy, obviously. Okay, a follow-up to this whole strategy is Koroviet Palace, 2 copies main deck, and I still think there should be a copy somewhere in the market, but as I said, the market is missing like another 5 spots at least. It's a 6-cost Huru Huru site with 5 endurance, was it? I think it was called Endurance. Sorry, Durability, with 4 Durability. When you play a unit with 4 attack or more, it gets Aegis and has 3 spells to play. Wisdom of the Elders, just draw 2 cards. Withstand, give one of your units +4/+4 in Endurance. And Sack the City, your units go Berserk. And then you get to play Sveti Aurene of Kosul. That can get you that can draw you some more cards, etc, etc. So, in this deck, usually I play Palace to give Aegis to my 5/6 Cliffside Porters, or just to, if I have, I don't know, a Merchant, a Porter, and a Nostrix in play, and I play Koroviet Palace, and then I play Sack the City, I can already attack the opponent for a whopping 24. So if there was a Snowball in play earlier, that's lethal. If you have some more Cliffside Porters, it is also more often than not just speeding up your opponent's demise. Well, obviously, Withstand can help against a permafrosted unit, and Wisdom of the Elders can get you further ahead, etc, etc. This also sometimes just comes in as a 4 durability shield, so the opponent has to attack this and not you, etc, etc. So the units and the side support here are the core. But there is also a lot of spell support for this deck, and given that this deck only is running 19 units and wants to assemble a Merchant, a Crownwatch Press Gang that can die, then it plays a Porter and Nostrix. So this is actually a very heavy control deck when you look at the attachments and the spells. You have 4 permafrosts, a 1-cost Primal Curse, that stuns the cursed unit for as long as it is cursed. You have 4 copies of Defiance, a 1-cost Justice fast spell that either kills an enemy attacking unit with cost 3 or less, or stuns an attacking enemy unit with cost 4 or more. Remember, you cannot play it on units that cost 4 or more and have endurance, like Sandstorm Titan. You also have 4 Ice Bolts, a 2-cost primal fast spell that deals 7 damage to unit. Its owner gets to play a sigil of their choice from their deck depleted. Remember, you can also target your own Cliffside Porter if you want to ramp up slightly, or your Crownwatch Press Gang, etc, etc. Also remember that Ice Bolt is more often than not a mid-game card than an early game card, because ramping up your opponents on turn 2 is usually not the correct play, unless you know you can follow it up with a Merchant, a Press Gang, or a Hailstorm, or a Harshul, and you're playing against an aggressive deck, then sure, fine by me, you get to kill a Champion of Fury. Following up, we have 4 copies of Hailstorm, a 3-cost primal spell that deals 3 damage to each unit, and 4 copies of Harshul, a 5-cost Justice spell that just plain old kills all units. Also, you gotta remember about Aegises on opposing units, obviously. Rounding out the control package are 4 copies of Wisdom of the Elders, a 3-cost primal fast spell that draws you 2 cards, and 3 copies of Honor of Claws, a 4-cost primal slow spell that draws you 3 cards, but then you get to discard a card. And that card you're discarding could be Jotun Hurler, could be a copy of Cliffside Porter, etc, etc. Also, given that this deck has a lot of Echo and or Fate and or card draw effects, there are some instances that you can overdraw. So you gotta remember that your hand limit at the end of your turn is 9 and your hand limit at all other times is 12. So be careful not to overdraw if you do not have to. For example, if you're at your hand limit and you're playing Crownwatch Press Gang, then don't get Cliffside Porter, which is 2 cards. Get your Messenger Hawk to get your Cliffside Porters working later on. So that you don't go over the 9. Also, this deck is running 27 power, and I'd rather run 27 power than 25 power and 2 Seek power. This deck usually does not have influence problems. Sometimes you might stumble on not having a 3rd Justice or 3rd Primal for playing Nostrix, but that is not a big problem usually. So you are running your 4 copies of Crest of Order, 4 copies of Huru Insignia, and 4 copies of Seat of Order. This deck is not currently running any banners, because it does not have to. It is also running 11 Sigils and 4 copies of Cobalt Waystone that can give you face Aegis if you play it and have at least 4 Primal Influence. Okay, so that's the deck. As you can see from the spells, you have 4 Permafrost, 4 Defiance, 4 Ice Storms, 4 Hailstorms, 4 Harsh Rules, 2 Jotun Hurlers, some Crownwatch Press Gangs that can block, you can Windchest Merchant for Pristine Lights, and your win condition is getting Nostrix on a Cliffside Porter, which people are usually not expecting, but might start expecting after I run this video. Okay. A couple of hints, other hints, aside from those that I have already mentioned. If you have Nostrix in your hand, and you're playing your Crownwatch Press Gang and getting your Cliffside Porter on turn 4 or 5, sometimes I find it okay to run out just a Cliffside Porter on turn 5 if I know that on turn 6 I can play an undepleted power source and drop a Nostrix into play. People usually don't kill a single Cliffside Porter when it's in play. Usually they just look the other way and they just play some other stuff. Although, if you are playing against people who know what they're doing, or at least know what your deck is doing and want to kill Cliffside Porter so that you cannot Nostrix on turn 6, remember that playing Cliffside Porter, playing Nostrix, and mentoring your Cliffside Porter does not give initiative or any chances to respond to your opponent, which means that if you have 7 power and these 2 cards in hand, you can just play Porter, play Nostrix, mentor all your units, and they cannot do anything about it. There could be a problem if your opponent, I don't know, for example, silences one of your units in hand, but while you have Nostrix in play already and you have mentored your Cliffside Porter, you don't have to worry about Porter or Nostrix being silenced. They have already done their thing. This is all about getting big stats on units. Another thing, trick you might call it, or just an observation, is Koroviat Palace and a buffed Cliffside Porter. When you are playing Koroviat Palace mid-game, you usually have 2 options. You can either play Palace, play a spell off of Palace, and then play Cliffside Porters to give them Aegis. Or you can first play your Cliffside Porters, then play Corrupted Palace to give everyone Berserk. That usually depends on the situation, but usually I tend to try and give Cliffside Porters the Aegis. Well, unless the opponent has Vara in play, of course, then Aegis does not matter and you just play Porters first, then play Corrupted Palace. Also, that Sack the City on Corrupted Palace is another reason why I think this deck should have Corrupted Palace somewhere in the market. Maybe putting Crownwatch Pressgang back to the main deck, maybe getting rid of those Jotun Hurlers, maybe putting in 4th Honor of Claws. I mean, as I said, those Jotun Hurlers are essentially a spot that you do not really need in the deck. It is just something that I have put in there because I was sick and tired of just getting run over fast and cheap decks, although you are playing 4 copies of Permafrost and 4 copies of Defiance and 4 copies of Hailstorm, and you can even run 2 Cliffside Porters out to have just chump blockers if you want to buy yourself a turn. Also, this deck is running 4 Cobalt Waystones, so you don't get burned to your face. I mean, the opponent can play around it, obviously, but this gives you slightly higher chance against some burn or burn-based decks. There are some other things that might come in play when it comes to tips and tricks, but maybe let's get to the games and then I'll just explain what is going on. Alright, and our first opponent is Zakov. And we get ahead with just 2 power, a Defiance, our Jotun Hurler, a Windchest Merchant, a Wisdom of the Elders, and a Crownwatch Pressgang. This hand would have been perfect if any of those cards was another blue source. On 2 power though, despite you playing 27 power, if you're going first and you don't have a crest, I'd just rather ship it back. And as you can see, we have either Hailstorm and Harshul against aggressive decks, or we have Crownwatch Pressgang as a follow-up somewhere in between. And given the weight of this hand, you can, against an aggressive deck, you can even just Hailstorm on turn 3, then follow it up with Crownwatch Pressgang on turn 4 and Harshul on turn 5. I saw that the opponent played a banner, Skycrack banner on turn 1, which usually means they are playing a rather aggressive deck, and we can see it is Champion of Fury on turn 2. And here between Hailstorm and Permafrost, I opted to play Hailstorm because it costs more, so it's a higher investment for me. The next power will probably be Cobalt Waystone and the Pressgang. So they are playing a Sari Dervish. So we are playing Pressgang, getting those Porters, also drew Nostrix. So if I draw non-depleted power, I can just run out Porter on turn 5 and try to follow it up with Nostrix on turn 6. This one is getting Permafrosted, this one is getting to attack for 3, so we are getting down to 15, that is quite low indeed. The opponent is playing Duskraider and a Granite Coin and gets us off of Face Aegis. Okay, we drew Crest of Order and a Permafrost, but given they have Duskraider, I'd rather Harshul right now. This play has 2 benefits. First of all, and not permafrosting both their units, because both their units do something while they're in play. One gives the opponent's units Berserk, the other one can just exhaust my units. Also, we can get rid of our Pressgang so that we can draw it later on to get our Porters, etc, etc. Now the opponent played Vadius, and we can just double Permafrost Vadius. I think, yes, we might need the Merchant. Another card we might use in the market is Stormhold Knife against aggressive decks. Here we can see the opponent is probably playing something like a Torch, which means I'm just doing this and playing 1 Cliffside Porter. If the opponent torches the Porter, that's 3 life for us. If not, we can Nostrix during their turn. I'm not playing 2 Porter because I don't want to lose the value of having another 5/6, although in this case against an aggressive deck that only has 3 cards in hand, I think that was also an option. So I opted to go now, play Nostrix on my 0-1 and attack the opponent with the 3/3. All the Cliffside Porters have 5 attacks and 6 health, and right now Nostrix is getting Ice Bolted, and if the opponent has an aggressive unit in hand, it might prove difficult. Okay, so yeah, we are at a hefty 14. The opponent is playing a power, and they're just playing Flame Blast for 7, leading us down to 7, and that is actually a very good play on the opponent's part, because if they draw another Flame Blast, we are just gone and out of the game. So they have put themselves in a position where they can actually top deck something. So I'm playing all of these. If I had a Palace here, I would pick the Palace. But right now, I can just honestly skip this, because both cards in my hand are better than what I have in the market. And if the opponent does not draw another Flame Blast, we are golden. They're just playing using Various' ability, and yes, we have won game number 1. So as you have seen, the aggro matchup was quite alright. Now against Piris, this hand has a Porter, a Wisdom, a Harshul, 4 power. You'd much rather have a 4 power hand than a 2 power hand in this deck. I mean, the more power in your starting hand, I don't mean 6 obviously, but 4 power is usually what you need in your hand. Crest of Fury means they can be playing once again Skycrack aggro, but usually means a more controlling deck like Genef or Ixten. And Crest of Wisdom, that means they are currently sporting the Genef flag. I'm following this up with just a Justice Sigil. And now the opponent drew something that looks either like a treasure trove or a snowball. And yes, it was a treasure trove, so we know they have Joe in hand. And another copy of something. Right now we can just go with Seat of Order and play Wisdom of the Elders end of the opponent's turn. And try to accumulate some card advantage as well. They are going for the second treasure trove, yes. So they have 2 Joes in hand, and Wisdom of the Elders draws us 2 cards. One of them is Winchester Merchant, the other a Defiance. Right now I'm opting to play either Justice Sigil or Cobalt Waystone. So playing Cobalt Waystone means that if I draw a seat, I can play Justice Sigil a non-depleted. And if I play Justice Sigil, that means I need to, I want to have that face Aegis later on. Playing the Merchant now, probably for Nostrix, means I can take out one of my Cliffside Porters or this Hailstorm out and go either for Crown Watch Pressgang or for Nostrix, but given that I already have 2 Cliffside Porters in hand, I'm just going for Nostrix. And next turn, what I want to do is play Honor of Claws, find a land, find a power, play one of those Cliffside Porters, and then play Nostrix on turn 6. That is just the plan, unless the opponent obviously plays something big like the Sandstorm Titan. Jotun Hurler gives me a Snowball, so that is a lot of cards in hand. I'm just counting how many I have as to not overdraw. And I opt to draw to play Honor of Claws once again, drawing Nostrix, Messenger Hawk, and a Permafrost that I cannot play on the opposing unit. We discard Jotun Hurler because it does not do much right now. Did not draw power, but I'm running out Cliffside Porter anyway, because if I draw a non-depleted power source, and remember I'm running a lot of Sigils and those Waystones as well, and Insignias, that just means that there is a non-zero probability of me drawing enough power to get Nostrix into play. Now, what I will do on the following turn will just depend on what the opponent does right now. A Crest of Fury, scouting something to the top of their deck. And what else? What else? Just attacking. We could chum block with the 2/2. I mean, we do have a Harshul, but I opted not to, as if I play a Nostrix, it's just gonna block, double block the opposing unit in a moment. They are playing a Jotun Hurler of their own, which means they do have a Snowball in hand. And drawing a Primal Sigil is perfect, because right now we can just Nostrix the Porter and give it back to the opponent, ship it back. We can also Nostrix the Porter for the second time, make it into a 10-11, and given that the opposing deck can have, like, what, Equivocates? And Equivocate is actually the best card, the best response here. and they are opting to kill my unit so that I cannot double block. They are just attacking here. I do know they have a snowball, but snowball is not enough. Not enough to... not enough to kill that. I'm going for the extra greedy option, getting my unit up to a 10-11. And then I can messenger hawk it and put 4 more copies that of a 1-cost 10-11 that echo. Oh my goodness, that is just so much value. I do need a Crownwatch press gang for that as well. And if I can, I mean, I am at a hefty 20 life, and the opponent is doing a big attack now, so I can either... Okay, so what can I do now? I could block the 5-6 and the 6-6, just take 3 damage and develop my board on the following turn with my Ice Bolt, Permafrost, another Porter, etc, etc. Or I could double block the 5-6 and make my units fly again. And take 9 down to 11. The opponent has a grip of cards in hand, but in the end I opted to double block the 5-6. I'm not 100% sure that was the best option. I could have, for example, blocked 5-6 with one and 3-3 with the other, or just blocked the 5-6 and the 6-6 if I wanted to have a lot of health. But honestly, I wanted my units to fly. Opponent is now playing End of Hostilities from the top of their deck, so that was their secret play, so they have 2 10-11s in play as well. But I think the option, right, especially that they are permafrosting my unit, is to just harsh rule the board and play a 10-11 Cliffside Porter after attacking for 10, obviously. So yes, this is the play, harsh ruling and playing a 10-11. Yeah, this definitely ends now. So we are at a hefty 11. We have no option of killing the opponent this turn. They are playing Heart of the Vault and targeting face, obviously. We are at 9. So we are... I hope they are not playing Burn Them All. Yeah. Oh, another Cliffside Porter, so we can play 4 out now. We don't have any option of gaining face, Aegis, or health, or anything like that. I am opting to play Messenger Hawk on one of my 10-11s to keep some value in my deck. Play 3 out and have power out to play Ice Bolt, just keeping 1 Cliffside Porter in hand, just in case the opponent has something strange that I don't remember. And what are they doing now? We are at 9, they have something fast to play here, might just be a torch. They are drawing an echo thingy. So now they are playing Display of Instinct, targeting face. Oh my goodness, I hope they cannot finish the job. They are playing a torch, leaving us down to 2. Snowball, that's 1, and I hope this fate was not Snowball but was Treasure Trove, and no, it was another Snowball. Okay, so as it turns out, there could have been a better line of play here from me in this game. That was actually when I paused for a moment for that turn when the opponent was attacking with the 5-6, the 3-3 and the 6-6. And the opponent was playing that game perfectly because they were playing to their outs, which means if they cannot control the board or use End of Hostilities on my unit and get a big board presence, that they can just burn me away. So yes, that was what they were going for, and they were successful with it. I mean, they did draw some burn in the end, like torch off of one of those Hearts of the Vault, but as I said, they had a full grip of cards. So probably with as much value as I had in hand, I should have blocked more defensively, not just to kill one of their units, but to stay as high on health as was possible. So, good game, opponent. Let's get to game 3. Timatu. Okay, so we have an aggressive matchup behind us. We have a control matchup behind us. And, I mean, this is a pre-recorded game, so I can do a small spoiler alert. So this is a mid-range matchup, actually. But without knowing this is a mid-range matchup, having the option to play Defiance and Ice Bolt and Wisdom of the Elders is great. Nostrix, on the other hand, is not needed right now because I have no option of playing him early on. Following a crest with another crest is perfect. Jotun Hurler, should you stay on top? Probably yes, because if the opponent has stuff like Trailmaker, let's say. I wanted to say Initiative of the Sand, but Trailmaker is a good example as well, that we can just kill it. Play another power, and yes, killing a mana dork is, or a power dork in this game, is much better than just drawing 2 cards right now. And Initiative of the Sands, okay, I mean, we're not ice bolting them, that would be just an upgrade for the opponent. I have the option of just playing the power and playing Wisdom of the Elders on my turn or on their turn, and I opted to wait for it. If they are attacking, I don't think I'm gonna Defiance it. I think I'm just waiting for them to play some big stuff and to harsh rule everything away. And in the meantime, I'm just playing my Wisdom of the Elders. Like now, the opponent seems to be quite low on power. Seems to be high on power, low on threats. Sorry. Okay, that's a Cobalt Waystone, that's great. That's Nostrix, that's great. And that's a Merchant. And Merchant, if we have Nostrix, can get us the Press Gang. And we can Merchant Jotun Hurler away. It has done its job. So there as well you can see the card of the sort of card advantage this deck can create. Zumukan the Surveyor, oh my goodness. Didn't walk right into that one, did I now? Okay, so the opponent is attacking. I could block here and then harsh rule, but that is telegraphing harsh rule, so the opponent will probably not play anything out right now. But that also means that I can play my Press Gang, get my Porter out. No, I'm not ice bolting that. I just want to generate as much advantage of a harsh rule as possible. So right now I'm just playing that, getting a Porter, not playing out Porter, to hopefully draw an undepleted power source and play Nostrix next turn. I just want to chump block Zumukan yet again. Zumukan, not the Explorer. After the previous game, I just worry about my health total. Also, the opponent is not playing an even deck, so they can have a Flame Blast in a Ram deck. That could deal a lot of damage, for sure. Okay, I draw a second harsh rule, so her harsh ruling now is just perfect, especially that we can also depower the opponent right now, unless the opponent plays another Zumukan or a Pride Leader. That is also an option. But being attacked for 3 right now is not a big problem. We are at a hefty 23. I mean, right now it's hefty. Later it can be quite problematic. Another Jotun Hurler, another Snowball. What are we doing now, though? We can defy Tokas. We can harsh rule both away. Yes, and I opted to harsh rule both away, mainly because I do have Ice Bolt. I have Defiance for some other stuff. I have Merchant that can get me Pristine Light. Yes. I'm thinking of snowballing the small one and playing Wisdom of the Elders to try and draw power. Or I can play a Merchant out Hurler and get... Okay, so I drew Crownwatch Press Gang. Which one did I click on? Cliffside Porter, yet again. And I drew a Messenger Hawk, so it does not matter. I'm playing out Porter, and I will have to discard down 3, 6, 11. So I'm thinking 1 Defiance and the Hurler. And I'm just leaving Nostrix, I'm leaving Messenger Hawk, I'm leaving all the Porters in my hand. The opponent is playing another power. Sure, attack, all you want. We can Ice Bolt it later. Or if I draw an undepleted power source, I can Nostrix and be okay with it. This does not stop mentoring. That is a fact. Crownwatch Press Gang is a slight problem here because it actually makes us overdraw, and we would have to discard our cards from our hand. Winchester Merchant, we can Merchant either the Press Gang away, and given the opponent is not playing green, they do not have mass removal, probably. I just could get rid of that and just stay on 3 Porters, but I opted to take 1 Porter out to get the Pristine Light, finally. Because right now Pristine Light can get rid of both of the opposing units. And I could chump a block here with the 3-3 or with the 2-2. And I opted to do it with the merge. Okay, we have Ice Bolt just in case. And they are playing Teacher of Humility as well. We are not Ice Bolting it. What I could do here is just Pristine Light, have Defiance and another Defiance ready for their Teacher attack, because we have that Defiance, and oh, they're playing Sabertooth Pride Leader as well, once again. Okay, I don't think I want to Ice Bolt here. I just want to play my seat, defy one. I'm thinking about defying the other and stunning it as well, just to buy us some time. And given that we are playing Nostrix on our next turn, yeah, that's a good option, just to stay high on power. Sorry, life. Power as well, but I meant life. So yes, Nostrix, playing Nostrix on Porter, buffing all Porters in hand and deck. Next turn we can play 2 Porters and Press Gang for another Porter. I mean 2 Porters. Oh my goodness, this is getting hilarious. Okay, so what we can do now is Ice Bolt their 5-6. But first I opted to shuffle more 5-6 units. A 1-cost 5-6 unit with Echo into my deck, to Crown Watch Press Gang and get more of them, to play a power and play 2 more of these, yes, just to develop my board position, not to Ice Bolt the 5-6, I can do that next turn. And it does not matter that the opponent is on 34 health, off of 3 Pride Leaders, or 2 Pride Leaders, don't remember. So yes, Ice Bolting now, attacking with, perma-freezing one of these, attacking with all the 5s. And the opponent had another Zumukon on top, oh my goodness. Yeah, but I mean, we can still play 2 more Cliffside Porters, and these Porters can double block Zumukon. We have a 5-7 flyer. We can draw 3 more cards with Honor of Claws, hopefully even more Cliffside Porters. Yeah, despite them having Zumukon, I think we have enough of card advantage and board advantage to win this game, and the opponent thinks so as well. Okay, so these were 3 nifty games, and this time let's go for a 4th game as well. Okay, Infinibolt, hello and welcome. What shall you be? We already played against an aggressive deck, a control deck, and a mid-range deck. What are you, Infinibolt? Are you a snowman deck? You're a mulligan deck. Okay, I'll take that. And we start off with Crest of Order. Wenchess Merchant is okay, but I'm lacking 4th power to play Honor of Claws. And they are actually playing Pyro Knight in Stone Scar, which means they're probably playing a rather aggressive deck. But it also means I want to Defiance their unit. And they are playing Argentport Instigator before attacking, which means, yeah, we are dealing 1 more damage to the opponent. Thank you. I mean, I would defy anyway. So, yeah, there's that. We could help the opponent, give them a power. And I think that's what we want to do. We want as clean a board as possible to just play Honor of Claws on turn 4. Hopefully the opponent does not have a 2-drop right now. Yes, I mean, they redrew to 6, which means we are in a slightly better position. Honor of Claws gives us a power and Nostrix. So what I could do here is one of many things. If I wanted to go the full greedy route, I could discard a power source to have just power for my Harshuls up, because I know I'm going to draw power, especially if I leave Crest up. I have a Scout, which is like drawing half a card. I could discard one of the Harshuls, but then I'm just left to the opponent's whims. After the 2nd wave of their units hits, well, right now it's the 3rd wave. I could get rid of Corrupted Palace, but it's just so much value as is Nostrix. So how greedy am I? I mean, discarding Harshuls is the adult choice. Discarding Justice Sigil is the greedy choice, especially that the opponent is playing a 5-5 out now. I am playing this though. Getting a Crest of Order on top is actually good because I can, whatever they are playing right now, even a Sensari Brigand that attacks me for a lot, we can Harsh Rule, we can play that power, and we can follow it up with either Harsh Rule, number 2, or Koroviet Palace, or just Nostrix to have a 5-7 in play. And right now I want that Merchant on top because that Merchant gives me Press Gang gives me Porter, and Nostrix give me good game, especially with Koroviet Palace. Sensari Brigand attacks us for 4 yet again. So right now we can Hailstorm, and we can Winchest Merchant the Palace away, probably, because we have a lot of other merchants in our deck as well, and then we can get back Palace. We get the Press Gang, and we are playing Press Gang, and unless we draw power, we are playing one of the Porters as well. We drew Joan Hurler. So yes, we are attacking with the 2-2. We are playing Press Gang. We are getting Porter. We are playing Porter because it was not a power. What is the opponent doing? Oh no, Highwaymen, they're gonna kill the Porter now. Oh wait, they wanted to de-aegis me. So they don't have first strike. Sorry, quick draw. So I'm just blocking here. Okay. Thank you, opponent. Okay, so we drew Koroviet Palace. We are mentoring this one, and we are attacking the opponent for 2. So we have 12 power on board right now, and Koroviet Palace to follow it up. And the opponent is playing Obliterate Phase, taking us from 12 to 6, which means the opponent was probably de-aegising us off of that, so that was not a bad play after all, because they wanted to obliterate us and obliterate us yet again. So we are on a very short clock, but given that we are playing Palace and sacking the city, which means we are attacking for 12 and for 12 again, which is 5 more than we need. So the Palace was actually what helped me win the game. Okay, that was a real photo finish here. So let's get back on top and take a look at the deck yet again. Ladies and gentlemen, a Hoot and a half version 1.5. Which other version could it be? Okay, so you already know how this deck works. You already know what all the cards here do. You already know how you could change and or improve on the deck. How you can meddle with the market. You can, if you're feeling exceptionally greedy, you can even try and go lower on the power here, especially if you put a power card in the market. So there are really a lot of options you could go for here with this Hoot and a half dot deck. I truly hope you enjoyed this this video, this deck explanation and games. And yes, Kalibovich out, another deck check done. And hopefully see you on one of my streams. Take care and have a good day. Or even a great day and a half. Because you're not sleeping. Because you're playing Eternal Card Game and you're playing this deck and... Okay, I need to finish the video right now.